Hey guys, how have you guys been? I know I haven't made a video in a while. I know, I've just been busy with other things. I've been getting back into Animal Crossing. I did some holiday/Christmas stuff with my family. So yeah, I had a pretty good Christmas. I hope you guys had a good Christmas as well. But I just kind of want to do a video, and you'll know what it's about, by reading the title. It's gonna be about things that interrupt my sleep. Things that go on around here that interrupt my sleep, like that wake me up or that keep me from falling asleep. I actually did a video like this on one of my older channels before I met you guys, but I deleted that channel like earlier this year, I believe. And I made that video before I met you guys, so I don't know if you guys seen it, So yeah, I just kind of want to remake that video. And another reason why I wanted to make this video is because one of my favorite YouTubers did this video back in 2016, and I really enjoyed that video, so I wanted to make my own version. Plus, there's just a lot of stuff that goes on around here that keeps me from sleeping sometimes. Like, I'm a bit of an insomniac. I can be a bit of an insomniac already, but it's even worse when, number one, you don't have a routine that you're following, and number two, you live with someone that's very loud and noisy, and has and he's always having lots of noise going on around the house, that makes my insomnia even worse. So yeah, I just kind of want to rant about that, I guess, kind of talk about it. And most of these reasons that I will be mentioning probably won't even be an issue when me, my dad, and my brother get our own house, Most of these will be related to just this house in particular, These aren't things I had to deal with in my old house back in Orange Grove, or that I'll have to deal with in our new house that we move into next year. So the first thing that wakes me up or keeps me from sleeping is, like, sometimes my uncle, he watches a lot of sci-fi and he watches a lot of stuff that have, like, very noisy sound effects and stuff. Like, there'll be some parts that are, like, really quiet, but then there'll be, and then like, you'll hear, like, a lot of crashing sounds. Boom! He watches some weird shows. And sometimes, like, there's, like, loud sound effects, and that's what wakes me up sometimes. It's usually in the morning or in the afternoon, but in the evening where he does these. But sometimes, like, he'll even do it in the middle of the freaking night. It's like, dude, people are trying to sleep. But yeah, that's one thing that wakes me up is when my Uncle Junior is like watching TV. You know, that for the most part he'll watch TV in the living room. I mean, sometimes I can still hear his. I can still hear his stuff. Like if he's watching TV in the, in his bedroom, which is on this wall over here. But, that doesn't happen very often. He's usually sitting in the living room chair watching science fiction and whatnot. Another thing that interrupts my sleep, this is another issue that's only related to this house, is my uncle's phone alarm. This is usually on the weekends, Like, a lot of times, like, it's usually it would usually go off at 8 a.m., his phone alarm. It is 8:01 a.m. And sometimes he'll just leave his alarm like in the living room or in the kitchen. Like, don't get me wrong, I get that people gotta use their alarms, so they can, they won't oversleep, if they want to be up for something, or if they need to be up for something, then yeah, and you're not really good at waking up on time without an alarm, then yeah, you gotta use an alarm, But don't just leave it unattended, because you're just gonna wake everyone else up and piss everyone else off. Another thing that wakes me up is sometimes Zoe will be barking, Sometimes, usually, when someone comes over, she'll bark, but sometimes she'll bark for no reason, and she'll just constantly go, just forever. Sorry, I'm trying not to be too loud. My uncle is asleep, and I think my dad is as well. Yeah, sometimes she'll bark, like if the front door is open. Not the inner part, but the glass, outer part, Or no, is it the outer part that's open, but on the inside, but the glass part on... I'm having trouble getting this out. Okay, so my uncle has 2 front doors, okay? He has the actual door on the inside of the house, and then he has, like the plastic glass-like door on the outside of the house, Sometimes he'll leave I think it's the actual door on the inside, Sometimes he'll leave it open, and sometimes that will make Shelly bark, or not Shelly, I'm thinking about an old dog we had, Zoe, because it'll make her think that, someone's about to come over, and, dogs do that sometimes when someone comes over, or when someone comes back, it causes most dogs to freak out. But the other day when she was barking, both of the front doors were closed, so I tried letting her outside, but she was still barking. so I let her back in. Thankfully, I yelled at her and was like, "No bark," and, that got her to stop. Now, my dad is kind of switching back and forth on getting a dog. At first, when from what he told me back on October 5th, I told you about that story and my reasons I'm excited for us to get our new house video, he told me, I'm not going to tell the whole story again, because that will make this video too long, but he told me that we're not planning to get a dog. Then, a couple of months later, just a couple of weeks ago, or actually, no, it was actually just, a little over a month ago already, he kind of changed his mind, and he said he was planning to get a dog later on down the road. And now he's saying that he's not sure. Honestly, I don't understand. I've never been much of a pet person, I've never understood why people like pets so much and think of them as friends. That's just not something that's, I've never really understood that. Pets being friends, I've never seen pets that way. But if my dad does get a dog, if he made it an outside dog, then I probably wouldn't mind it as much, It's just when dogs are inside, that's what really annoys me. But if it's an outside dog, like Shelly was on and off, that's not as annoying to me. Anyway, yeah, Zoe is another thing that keeps me up sometimes. Another thing that wakes me up or keeps me up is the security alarm that my uncle has. I've mentioned it in a few of my videos. It's just very inconsistent when it goes off. Sometimes it'll go over a month without going off. Sometimes it'll go off on 2 consecutive days, And as for the time of day, it can, sometimes it would go off in the evening or nighttime, I actually did a video, or actually went off in the afternoons. I think it was about 5 o'clock p.m. when it went off, but usually it'll go off in the morning at about 9 a.m. and sometimes that keeps me up or even wakes me up. It sounds kind of like that. If you want, if you want to know what it sounds like, you can watch my video entitled "My Uncle's Security Alarm is Going Off." I remember the first time it went off, I could not figure out how to make it stop, so I had to just try my hardest to block it out until my brother woke up, because he was asleep and my dad and my uncle were at work. My uncle, he usually works from home, which I'll be getting into that. But he was actually gone that day, and my dad was also at work, and my brother was asleep, so I was the only one up, and I couldn't really do anything about it. So it just kept going off for like hours, every minute, for about 5 hours. So and it does the beep 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 at 1 minute intervals. So it went off. It literally went off a couple of hundred times, or a few hundred times, that first time. But thankfully, at about 2, my brother finally got up, and he was able to turn it off. Oh, I remember, like, I was like, I remember a time where I was like dreaming about it, and it was actually happening. I was like sleeping, I was, this is my room, and this is where I was sleeping. And for some reason, the dream took place in my old house back in Orange Grove. I was actually here, but in my dream I was back in my house in Orange Grove, and I was in the kitchen, and I kept hearing a beeping sound. It was the same sound that my uncle's security alarm makes in the utility room between the kitchen and the garage, which, I made a video of that, like I said. Oh gosh, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh yeah. In my dream, like, I thought it was like maybe the fridge or something. Maybe it was the fridge, I don't know. I wasn't sure, but then I woke up, and what do you know? It was the security alarm beeping. So that woke me up. And it's also loud as heck. Oh my god, like, I've mentioned this. I'm a very sensitive, I have sensitive hearing, first of all, and second of all, I'm a very skittish person. So when it goes off, like, it gives me anxiety, and I have to I run into the laundry room like a freaking athlete, so it doesn't beep again while I'm in there. Which, I have, like I said, it beeps at 1 minute intervals, but I still like to do it ASAP just in case. Plus, sometimes I kind of wait a while. I kind of wait like about 15 to 30 seconds or more before I actually go in there. Like, when it goes off, I'm just like, oh boy. And then I wake up, and I haul ass into the laundry room, like I said, and to shut it up. But yeah, the security alarm is another thing that wakes me up. Another thing that wakes me up is my uncle and my talking, or my dad talking, my uncle, sometimes he'll work from home sometimes, he usually works from home, he's always, and he's making a lot of phone calls, sometimes I'll hear his phone ringing, and then I'll hear him talking, which kind of distracts me from sleeping. Because I'm a very light sleeper, every little noise or brightness can wake me up. And a lot of times, my, my uncle is very talkative, Him and my dad, like, my dad, he's more introverted and independent, but my uncle, he's always wanting to talk to my dad, So a lot of times, like, on holiday days off, like right now, and on weekends, they spend a lot of time in the morning just kind of talking to each other really loudly and stuff, and that keeps me awake. Another thing that wakes me up is sometimes, like, I try to remember to turn my phone off. Or not off, but, I try to remember to put it on silent when I go to sleep. But sometimes I forget to, and then, like, my phone will ring, and it'll just be from random numbers, which startles me, gives me anxiety, and if I'm asleep, it'll wake me up. Or even text messages, sometimes even they wake me up. Another thing that wakes me up, or that keeps me from sleeping kind of, is the sunlight. That this is my window over there, Sometimes when the sun comes up, the sun kind of shines through, and that kind of interrupts my sleep sometimes, or keeps me from sleeping. When we move into our own house, we will be able to, put blankets or shutters or something, curtains on the windows to block out the sun, and I'm excited for that. I like to have my lamps on, like when I'm awake. For the most part, but like when I'm trying to sleep, or if I'm just in the mood to have it dark, I don't want the freaking sun to beam through the window. I can't put blankets or a curtain on there now because my uncle said he just remodeled this room, so he doesn't want, like, to poke even tiny holes in the walls. So yeah, that's gonna be another good thing about moving to our house, is I'll get to fix up my room, and I won't have to worry about the sun disrupting me. Because like I said, I don't want it to be completely pitch black, I'm kind of scared of the dark, but I don't want the sun to come in either, I want... I'll show you what I want, Sorry. I usually have my TV on the Xbox menu or something, and then I'll put the time up, so when I wake up or when I'm trying to sleep, I can just look at my TV and look at the time. I don't have to get my phone. I can just look up at the TV. So yeah, this is just enough light. It's enough light, but it's not too much light, it's just enough. Sorry if you can't really see, and I'm sorry about the glare from my lamps. But yeah, just the right amount of light for me to fall asleep to. Okay. Sorry about that. No, I don't need you on right now, computer. Sorry, I'm trying to turn my computer off. There. My computer can be stubborn sometimes. But yeah. Anything else that I forgot to... Oh yeah. You know, sometimes rain will wake me up. Like, you know, sometimes we'll get... And not just thunderstorms, but even just... You know, rain hitting the window can be disruptive to me. You know, that sometimes wakes me up. Because, believe it or not, we do get rain in West Texas, you know. People say that we don't get rain here. It's just a misconception. We do get rain occasionally. Yeah, you know, like I said, like, you know, some of these won't even be a problem when me, my dad, and my brother move into our own house. Yeah, you know, I may still have to deal with some disruptive stuff, but not as much. Like, you know, I may still have to deal with, like, rain. I don't know, maybe if my dad has to make a phone call. You know. Or if we get a dog, which I hope not. I hope we either don't get a dog or we get an outside dog, you know. I wouldn't mind it if it's an outside dog. You know. And maybe my phone, you know, going off if I forget to put it on silent. But I won't have to deal with my uncle's blaring TV anymore. I won't have to deal with his alarm clock. I won't have to deal with his security alarm. I won't have to deal with him and my dad talking amongst themselves. You know, I won't have to deal with him coughing and hacking, because, you know, that's another thing that wakes me up. A lot of times, I think he has like a cold right now, or he's congested right now, because a lot of times I'll hear him just cough really loudly and severely. Not severely, but like in a bad way, just kind of like loudly and flimsy. Like I said, don't get me wrong. There are things that I do like about, you know, temporarily living with my uncle, you know. There are things that I do like about it that I mentioned in the reasons I'm excited about moving in my own house. My dad, my brother, my dad and my brother moving into our own house. But like I said, at the same time, I'm just ready for me, my dad, and my brother to move into our own house, you know. It'll be peace and quiet. So it'll be easier to relax and sleep. I forgot to mention this too. Another thing that wakes me up is sometimes my uncle will listen to music, blare the radio without headphones on. you know. So yeah. You know, my uncle, he can be really, my uncle, you know, he can, he's a very noisy and loud person, and me, my dad, and my brother, you know, or at least me and my dad, me and my dad, but for my brother, you know, I'd say he's more like me and my dad, you know, we like our peace and quiet, you know, sometimes his lifestyle clashes with ours, you know, and that can make it hard to adapt. But once me, my dad, and my brother get our own house, you know, it'll be a lot more quiet and peaceful, and most of the factors I mentioned won't even be an issue anymore. But anyway, I don't want to make this video too long, so I'm going to end it right here. See you guys later.